Hi, I'm Erik the Travel Guy. Today, we're dropping a pin on a green country destination where there's green just about everywhere. Oh, what a beautiful morning it is in Muskogee, Oklahoma. Next on Beyond Your Backyard.
Beyond Your Backyard is being brought to you in part by the following. With Phil, there's only one.
My name is Erik Hastings. Yeah, that's me. And for as long as I can remember, I've always loved to travel, and I still do today. But you know what I've learned? There's so much more that brings us together than divides us. Which is why I've made it my mission to do the very same things you can do, but to take you beyond the experiences, to uncover the soul of every place we visit. Let me introduce you to the people, the places, and the secrets that remind us how exciting it is to share with one another, to understand one another, and to realize just how connected we really are. I am Erik the Travel Guy, and this is Beyond Your Backyard. Thank you for watching and welcome back. Have you ever heard that world-famous Merle Haggard song, Okie from Muskogee? Well, it is a real song, and it's about a real place. Ask Siri or Alexa, she'll tell you all about it. But you may be wondering, why are we here? Well, we aim to answer that question on today's episode. That's why we're going to learn a little bit more about Native American history and culture. We'll get hands-on with a little World War II history. We'll sample delicious barbecue. Yes, we'll explore those 3 rivers, the annual festivals, and we will learn why Merle Haggard wrote that famous song about this particular destination. And if you're curious to know how these fit into the picture, well, I can't wait to show you how. Ducks and chickens and geese better scurry. We're on the move. Let's get started. The Midwest means Middle America, which is why you'll find the state of Oklahoma right over here in, you guessed it, the middle. The capital is Oklahoma City, which is here. Over here is Tulsa, and about a 45 minutes drive by car is the town of Muskogee. I suggest you get behind the wheel, turn up the music on your favorite playlist, and let the gentle breeze do the rest. Muskogee is a small town with a resident population of about 38,000 people. It's easy to get to, and the downtown is charming and walkable. But I started my visit by chatting with Mark Wilkerson at Honor Heights Park. You know, Mark, these tulips really put you in a good mood, don't they?
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Sometimes you don't have to do anything while you're here.
Right. Bring a picnic lunch and just sit there and enjoy the beauty. You know, and that's part of what brings people to the park. It's why this is such a popular place, is that people have, you know, had their winter doldrums and they're ready to get outside and see nature and visit these beautiful colors. We have picnic shelters. There's a great playground. There's a beautiful lake, so there's fishing. There's all kinds of events that happen here throughout the year. You see, Muskogee was to be the Tulsa or the Oklahoma City originally. And
really?
It was one of the earliest modern cities in Oklahoma to develop. And so the forefathers all came from, you know, the big cities to come here. And they knew that to have a great city, you had to have a great park. They actually hired landscape architects from Chicago to come down here and design and lay out this park. The flowers are what lure them here, and we hope that they spend, you know, a few hours here in the park. But then we also hope that they go into town and visit Muskogee.
In your opinion, best time of year to visit?
So the best time is springtime. It's April. Everybody was going to do their best in April for our April festival. We've built this event center so that people can have weddings out here. And then in December, we transformed this into what we call the Garden of Lights. And so the entire park is covered in lights.
Oh my gosh. I want to talk about the butterfly house, but there's something kind of magical about those insects when you get in there with them, and when you really get up close and personal with them. Where do they come from? Are they raised here? Help me out here.
The butterfly house was the anchor, the key idea behind this garden. We buy chrysalis locally here in Oklahoma, so the kids can actually see the butterflies come out of their chrysalis and become real butterflies. And there's educational components in there that explain that. And you know, we may have a dozen to 20 different species of butterflies in the butterfly house, all native to Oklahoma, or native to North America and in Oklahoma as well.
Well, I can't think of a better way to start our day. Mark, thanks for this. Did you catch what Mark said? Honor Heights Park is a prime example of a place within a place that will surprise you when you're here. But the point is, you need to get here and be here to feel it for yourself. In visiting with Mark, he helped me give a little more Mother Nature context, which is always appreciated. Muskogeans love their annual events, both indoors and out, one of which is the Renaissance Festival, which takes place in and around the castle. The crew and I dropped by to learn more about this time period. I wore a ridiculous costume and learned how to wield a sword. Oh, and I also spoke to Matt Hiller about this massive medieval village. What would you recommend to somebody for a first-time family, a first-time couple going, all right, let's do this?
A Renaissance Festival is a fun time. Turn off your cell phone, throw out the worries, and play for the day that you're here. You know, you'll be greeted throughout the village by "Good day, my lord," or "Good day, my lady," and we ask the kids to participate in a quest when they come in here. But you're gonna have fun at the Renaissance Festival. We have great food scattered throughout. It's a full day's experience at the Renaissance Festival. 15 stages, something for everyone. All of the people that participate on our end, the actors and the vendors and our cast, they go through training. They try and immerse you in a different time. Your gateway to another world. That's our slogan here at the castle.
That's a good slogan.
Your
I like
gateway
that.
to another world.
Yeah, now, and you do different things throughout the course of the year as well.
The Renaissance Festival is 6 weekends.
Oh my
Starts
gosh.
at the end of April, runs through the beginning of June. And then we go right into our fireworks season where we sell fireworks to customers. And after that, we start building for Halloween. That's 11 different haunted attractions geared from not scary to very scary, hopefully. And that's scattered all throughout the grounds here at the castle. We immediately start setting up for our Christmas display.
Thank you, man. I appreciate this. History is one of my favorite subjects, and I love learning about it when I travel. And frankly, you don't need to look that far to find it, even if you're on vacation. For instance, here in Muscogee, if you take a short drive, you'll happen upon a giant World War II submarine. This is the USS Batfish. First of all, where are we standing right now?
On top of the USS Batfish,
Got it.
the submarine killing champion of World War II.
Now, come on.
That's the
Is that a verifiable fact?
It actually is.
How did it earn this moniker?
Destroying 3 Japanese submarines in 76 hours.
What year?
1945 is when this happens.
When did this get here?
1972.
How many of these subs exist? Do you know?
Of this model on display, we're looking around 8 to 9.
Can we take a little
Let's go.
walk around?
Let's take a little gander. So this is the conning tower. You got your anti-aircraft right there.
Got it?
You got a 20 millimeter right there.
Sure.
So we're gonna go in.
Yeah, why not?
We're inside the meat of a hot dog, a 17-foot diameter tube. We're surrounded by a bun. To sink, we fill up our bun with water. To surface, we use air to push the bun water out, and we surface. Christmas tree here just tells you if your hatches, your ports, floods are open. If you go to dive and it's a red, you're dead. If it's green, you're good. And so this is basically allowing water inside of the tank so we can actually submerge the submarine. When you fire a torpedo that weighs 3,000 pounds, you have to compensate with 3,000 pounds of water. You're always trying to get neutral buoyancy. And then we have a ballast tanksman who's actually blowing pressure inside the submarine so we can see if there's any air leaking. The whole point I'm illustrating is that every day on a submarine, no matter if there's an enemy around or not, could be your last day.
Could be the last one. How many crewmen?
88 at its max capacity.
That includes the officers, or?
That includes the officer, yes. Refrigerator, cold store. You have a freezer down there as well. Shrimp, steak, pineapple, lobster. Most of your cooks were African Americans. So during a time when World War II was completely segregated.
Right.
You can't segregate anyone on board a submarine. So this guy, when it wasn't his time to cook and when they were doing dive operations, he had to shut down what's called the main induction line. Basically brings air to everybody. If you don't shut that down and you dive, you're gonna die. There isn't like a, oh, maybe. No, you're gonna die. That's how it is. So he was just as responsible for everyone else's life as anybody else. So there was a chief on board that wasn't very kind. He fell off one time. Who saved him? Yeah. Don't be that way.
Right.
Love everybody.
There's the lesson. We've been all on bad camping trips. We've certainly been in, sleepovers and slumber parties and various other, but How difficult would it be to even imagine what sleeping in a room like this would be?
This is part of that brotherhood. When you sleep in this room, there's 36 beds in here, and you do what they call hot bunking. So 3 guys are assigned to every 2 cots, so you're constantly rotating. They work for 4 hours, they're off for 8 hours. That 8 hours, though, is sleeping, learning, wrecking, eating. There's not enough time. They figured out during the Vietnam War that submariners actually sleep deprived. We're giving you a taste of what the life is like. We can never give you what the life is like, and you don't want to know what the life is like.
You don't want to know. Yeah.
But if I can give you 10% of the experience of a submariner during World War II, I've done my job.
So it's safe to say life on board was not easy for the sailors, due in part to tight quarters. But you can see the United States is a large country by area, more than 3 million square miles to be exact. And indigenous people have been on this land for generations, which is why I made a stop at the 5 Civilized Tribes Museum. What was the Trail of Tears?
Basically, it's the trail, the path that they took to get from where they were to get to here. There's actually different paths for different tribes, but they all came to convene in areas probably around the Memphis or Fort Smith area, and then came over. It was called the Trail of Tears because of the amount of people who died and were basically left laying on the side of the road. It was literally a death march, but it was deemed that, and if you got here, then you did get an allotment, you did get property.
What years are we working with? The time frame?
1830s.
So this is the end of the Trail of
This
Tears.
is the end.
It doesn't extend further
It does
past
not.
this.
Indian Territory becomes Sequoia Nation, which would have been its own state. Had it happened, Muskogee would have been the capital.
Got it.
And so that's why everything came here. The building was actually built in 1875.
Okay.
It makes it 142 years old. And so this is where they all came. They got their allotments, they got their land assignments, and then they dispersed into each of the nations for the 5 tribes.
Who were the tribes?
Okay, you've got the Cherokee, Choctaw, Chickasaw, Creek, and Seminole.
What year are we working with here?
The Indian Removal Act was 1830. So
Right.
between 1830 and a little bit under 1865. This basically, the land back east, east of Mississippi, was traded or taken from them, and this was the land that they were essentially swapped for.
Got it.
They got more acreage here than what they had back there, but not quite as fertile as the land back east is.
It's really hard to walk through this museum and not feel a sense of, I suppose the word would be sorrow.
Very much so. It's a part of history that people don't really know what went through to get here. The first tribe that came was the Choctaw. The Choctaw lost about 1/3 of their tribe. That unfortunately was deemed a acceptable loss by the government. So the next group was the Cherokees. Cherokees got the luck of the straw of coming in the middle of the wintertime. They lost about 5,000 people on the Trail of Tears. And then the other tribes followed. The last group was the Seminole. They came actually through the waterways. They didn't come by land.
Yeah.
When we try to describe it to school kids during tours, we go more on the heartache of walking the tour instead of actually what happened on the tour. People being in stockades and prison camps and shackled and stuff like that.
It's really important that this information is presented in an authentic way. It's very important that we learn that maybe some of the things in some of our history books that even you and I read and were taught weren't exactly accurate.
Exactly. And it's very enlightening to people when they find out basically it was genocide. And whenever they find out that, oh my gosh, that happened in our own country, kind of thing. So it is very groundbreaking for them to learn that.
But once again, how could we possibly understand where we're going in the future and where we want to get there if we don't understand what happened, if you don't have that context, right?
Exactly.
Did tribes get along with each other?
The Seminole are actually part of the Creek. The word Seminole actually means deserter or runaway. And so whenever they split off from them, they went to Florida. Creek stayed in the Mississippi, Alabama area. Well, then at the end of the Trail of Tears, they were going to put them back together. And the Seminole were like, you can't do that. They're going to kill us because we deserted from them. So what they do, they butted the 2 nations right up beside each other.
What do people not know?
Right now we've got a boarding school exhibit, which a lot of things that people don't understand is that boarding schools at the turn of the century was important for the natives to become educated because of being taken advantage of in contracts and treaties. Except for boarding schools, were also known as manual labor schools. We've got a code talker exhibit. The last code talker died in 2016. We've got our map room or the removal room, archive room, tribal room. Each of the cases in the tribal room is maintained by each of the 5 civilized tribes. And then this is the library. So books that we have that are almost 200 years old have been digitized to where we never have to open them again. You can go in, you can scan the barcode, you can read it on your own device, you can go to their website and you can read it on there. And it's got everything from family Bibles to allotment maps, diaries. We have an actual copy of the state constitution. We have the city of Muscogee's incorporation.
The Constitution that the 5 tribes wrote.
We've got about 3 years rotation worth of art. Our gallery is only as big as the building, so every month we switch that gallery out.
How long would you recommend somebody, if they're coming for the first time, maybe they haven't been back since 3rd grade, we were talking about earlier, what do you think?
If you are somebody that wants to stop and read everything, it's about an hour and a half. If you're somebody that likes to look at the art, depending on what show's going on, it's about 45 minutes to an hour. If you just want to blaze through, it's about 15 minutes.
We can do it in 15 minutes.
So it could be either way.
That's perfect. Thank you, man. I really appreciate this. It's important to note, history is filled with good times and bad, good decisions and bad ones. But progress is usually made by people learning from the mistakes of the past. I wish we had more time to explore this subject matter, but alas, it was time to head to the Three Rivers Museum to meet my new friend, Angie. What was it like in the turn of the century, in the early 1900s here in Muskogee?
It was thriving.
Yeah.
Kind of grew overnight. We started off with a trading territory and turned into a city. We got railroad. Railroads came into Muskogee and people just started traveling to Muskogee, and then they stayed here, and we grew over the years. And the museum is actually located inside the renovated Midland Valley Railroad Depot. The railroad depot was one of 5 depot stations here in Muskogee. In the early 1900s, yes. We were a passenger train station. When they renovated the building, and there was a group of people that had an idea to come up with the museum so that they could tell the history of the Three Rivers area. The Three Rivers are the Grand, the Arkansas, and the Verdigris. They all come to a point east of Muskogee.
Right, and relatively close to downtown, right?
Yes.
Like within a few minutes, I would think?
Yes.
I want to talk about Alice Robertson because this is a very notable figure and her role here.
Alice Robertson actually is from Muskogee.
Yes.
She was the first Congresswoman of Oklahoma. She is the reason that Muskogee has a Bacone College, that TU in Tulsa exists. She is responsible for Muskogee having its VA hospital and our biggest employer in Muskogee, which is the Veterans Administration. She grew up around Muskogee. She had an orphanage. She loved children. She actually is the reason that Bacone got started because of the orphanage. She tried to open up another orphanage, and it ended up being an actual college for Native Americans.
When people come and visit the museum and they go through it with a guide, they can do a self-guided tour. You've got guides that will help them as well. But what do they tell you before they leave?
That it's a shock, that they weren't expecting what they got, that they weren't expecting to see everything we have packed into the little museum.
What are we going to see outside?
Outside, we have a one-room schoolhouse. We restored it to its specifications, and our goal is to eventually have classes, have a teacher and dress-in period, and actually have school the way they used to have school. We also have a steam engine out back.
Why have I been craving Thin Mint cookies since we started talking?
The Girl Scout cookies started in Muskogee, Oklahoma.
Oh, they did not. No,
Yes, they did.
No, you're not allowed to make things up on the television. This is PBS.
I'm not making this up.
Come
They
on.
were started in Muskogee, Oklahoma.
The Girl Scout cookies and the Girl Scouts both were started here, or just the cookies?
The cookies and the Girl Scouts.
Do you know what year?
1917 was the first formed group called the Mistletoe Troop. Julia Gordon Lowe had an idea to raise money for the men at war to send them care packages. And so she went to the local high school here in Muskogee and asked for permission to use their oven because she didn't have enough space at home. And they said yes. She would sell them 2 cookies in a small parchment paper wrap package for 10 cents. The want for more cookies became so much that she contacted her friends and the other ladies in the town, and they got their daughters and their nieces, and therefore formed the Mistletoe Troop.
Whoa, wait a second, whoa. So the cookies came before the troops? I have some more questions. Do we know what the first flavor of the cookie was?
It was just a sugar cookie. We actually have the original recipe.
Are you saying I can come to the Three Rivers Museum, I can take a picture of that recipe and go and make the original recipe for Girl Scout cookies?
Yes.
That is fantastic. I say we go eat some Girl Scout cookies. Of course, Angie and I could have talked all afternoon, But I had an early dinner to get to because I got invited to a very special concert later in the evening. Which reminds me, you'll find plenty of dining options here in Muskogee. Bars, grills, cafes. I even spent time with a local barbecue pitmaster preparing for the annual barbecue and chili cook-off. But as the sun set, I made my way over to the Oklahoma Music Hall of Fame to hear Harley Ham and his band jam out to some fantastic tunes. The next afternoon, I was lucky enough to get a one-on-one interview. Hey, Harley, how are you, man?
Hey,
Man, it sounded good.
Oh, thanks, man.
It's just off the top of your head.
Just noodling.
How do you... That's noodling. Oh, come on. Now, first of all, we came to the show, and I thought I knew what I was going to expect to see, and I was blown away.
Well, great.
Do you get in like a... Is there a zone?
Just get up there and pour your heart out through your instrument.
But everybody's speaking a language that's unspoken up there. You really do feel it. I mean, you guys are, you're a team up there. You're a family up there. And does it change?
With each different player that you play with, it changes. You know,
You feel the
conversation might be different. You know, they might bring something out in you that another player didn't. I mean, when you play music with someone and you share that with them, it's a deep thing. You and me could play music together and run into each other 10 years down the road, and there's just a connection there, you know. And
I would still be terrible, even 10 years from now, I promise. Because
hopefully you'd be a little better.
Right. In a decade, you think I might pick up something.
Yeah, but playing music with someone, that is just such a deep spiritual connection with that person.
Here we are at the Oklahoma Music Hall of Fame, and that's a big deal to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. But what is it about this state? Something going on in the water? What's happening?
I don't know. I think there's so many different people and genres of people pass through here that I just think that it's all kind of just migrated this way. Mainly living in the country, you know, living out in the country. A lot of times there's not much to do. You got instruments around, you're gonna sit around and pick them.
Yeah.
You know, and you just get better and better.
Could you show me how to play a couple of chords?
Take your index.
Okay, got it.
Okay, you're gonna wanna put it on the 3rd fret. So it'd be 1, 2, 3. Okay, on the bottom here.
Bottom. See.
Okay.
See what I'm talking about? Okay.
It would be the high E string.
High E
just
string
the one.
down
There
there.
you go. Now strum the bottom 4. There you go. Not too bad.
That's not bad. I don't know. I think a piano might be a better option for me. What do you think? Yeah, I think maybe it'll be Harley, thanks
Maybe
for this,
so.
man. One of the activities I like to partake in when I'm on vacation is walking in the very footprints of icons and being in the very locations where history happened. Well, this is one of those locations. This is the Muscogee Civic Center, where such notables such as Carrie Underwood, the Doobie Brothers, Snoop Dogg, just to name a few, have performed to the screaming masses. Well, on October 10th, 1969, a 32-year-old Merle Haggard walked onto this stage and explained how both his parents were born in the area. So he decided to write a tribute to the town. And that particular famous song was Okie from Muskogee. So you see, in my estimation, Muskogee is unpretentious. The locals are friendly and gracious. And the town itself, well, it's so much more than a famous song. I'm Erik the Travel Guy. Thank you for exploring beyond your backyard. Tequila. I didn't get that in my earpiece. What? My producer's speaking to me. Apparently Siri wants to do the cold open. Fine. Probably do it a little bit better. And I'm standing on the bleachers. Look at me. I'm going to take my heels off. Hang on a second. Oh, that's so much better. Oh, my dogs were barking. All right. In 1914, Marion Brown, I almost said Marion Barry. Like, no, that's a different person. Whoa, wait a minute, wait. So now, it's cookie time. We love cookie. Bet you didn't know that. Don't take my word for it, just sample an empty box of cookies. Second take, better than the first. What? Oh, I gotta get a dance class in before 5. It's the cookies. Think the coffee just kicked in. Hello. I need a fainting couch.
Wait a minute. Whoa. I got some water? It's a little dry in here. Oh, my mother, God rest her soul. I broke a record, 132. I'm so proud. I'm out of here. Okay.
For more information on this episode, visit erikthetravelguy.com. And while you're there, you'll discover other fascinating destinations just beyond your backyard and links to follow me on social media. That's erikthetravelguy.com.
Beyond Your Backyard is being brought to you in part by the following. With Phil, there's only one.
Hi, I'm Erik the Travel Guy. You know, I've been exploring the world professionally for more than a decade, and you know what I've learned? Is that fantastic experiences await you in every corner of the globe, but you don't always have to travel that far to uncover them. So join me each week as we go on and off the beaten path, learn something new, and sample delicious culinary. We're exploring beyond your backyard.